almost there. All right. Live. All right, and we are recording. And I've got 7 o'clock. So before I call the meeting to order, I'll just let everybody know, normally we have a planning and zoning commission meeting. We were going to have a public hearings on some of the zoning code changes that we've been talking about, but with 4 variances filed within the past couple weeks for the BZA, we thought it best to hold off on the Planning Commission meeting. So tonight's meeting is only the Board of Zoning Appeals to deal with 4 variances. I will also note that our agenda says there is a vacant spot. However, thank you, Robert Looney, for agreeing to be on our Planning Commission, which also puts you on BZA. He will be taking the place of Mr. Hochrattle, who had to resign last month. So thank you. And with that, we'll get this meeting started. So I'll call it to order at 7:01. And I'll do the roll call. I'm here. Mr. Looney? Mr. Looney?
Here.
All right. And Mr. Hankinson? I have not heard from him, so hopefully he'll join us. Mr. Mauger?
I'm here.
All right. Ms. Williamson?
I'm here.
And Roger Woods is here, but as an applicant tonight, he is one of our resident BZA persons. But since he has an applicant tonight, he is present but unable to vote since he is one of the petitioners tonight. But that does give us 3. So we do have a quorum, so we can proceed. And the first item we will have to deal with is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, August 13th. Though it occurs to me with only 3 members and Mr. Looney not being present and having to abstain, we will hold that until the next meeting when we have some more participants that can vote on those minutes. Which moves us right along to visitors. There's a bunch of visitors on here. I imagine everybody is here for one or other public hearing tonight, so we will get to visitors when we do those variance requests. I've got no old business on the agenda. Kay, Ken, do either of you have any old business?
No.
I don't believe so.
All right. All right. So we'll go on to new business, which is our variance requests. And since we're doing them remotely, here's kind of the procedure we'll follow. We'll introduce the variance. Terry, since she is on vacation, has provided a staff overview in everybody's packet. That'll kind of be our staff report on it. I might have some info on some of them. We'll give the applicants, if they are on, an opportunity to talk about what they want to do with the variance. We'll give anybody else that's on in support of their variance an opportunity to speak. We will then give anybody that's on that wants to speak in opposition to any of the variances an opportunity to speak. Because we are virtual, I will ask everybody to just state your name and your address so that we have it as part of the minutes, and ask each of you, since this is a public hearing, we do ask that you just provide a quick oath. The oath is basically, do you promise the information you're going to give is truthful to the best of your knowledge? So quick oath. The BZA members can have question and answer of the applicant, proponent, and opponents. After everybody speaks, I'll give the applicant an opportunity if they want to respond to any opposition has a couple of options available. We can discuss it tonight and vote on it tonight, or BZA has 30 days to make a decision. So if it's something that the group would like to ponder and have another meeting within 30 days to continue discussion and then either approve with conditions, or deny the variances. So that's the general process we'll follow. I see most everybody is muted. I appreciate that, so it keeps the background noise. Though I will give everybody, when we call for opponents and proponent testimony, an opportunity to get unmuted here. So we'll get started with the first variance. Actually, the first two variances we will probably do at the same time because they are the same variance for 517 East Cliff Street and 521 East Cliff Street. The applicants are asking to put a fence on the property lines and to not put a fence in between their two properties so that their backyards are basically combined. Just a note for BZA members on these particular variances, our code has the requirement that our fences be 1 foot off the property line. Councilmember Moeller, before he moved outside of the village and had to resign, brought up numerous times about how we should change that to be able to put it on the property line. Most other communities allow it to be on the property line. Terry and I have had some conversations over the past couple months, and coming up in an upcoming planning commission meeting, we do intend to add this as an agenda item to talk about whether or not we want to change that portion of the code to allow fences to go up to the property lines like other communities. And with that said, I understand people can't wait for the slow wheels of government. So if BZA were to approve these two variances tonight and we change that code in the next year or so, I think it only appropriate then that from the village side that we would refund their variance costs if we do change that code, because I understand can't wait for government sometimes. Fences got to go up. So for BZA, hopefully everybody got Terry's overview on it. Her staff recommendation is that BZA consider granting the variance since it wouldn't, since the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, nor would adjoining property suffer substantial detriment. So I will ask Ms. Conway and Ms. Markham, if either of you or both of you are on, if you want to unmute and identify yourselves real quick and tell us a little bit about your variance application.
Okay. My name is Darla Markham. I live at 521 East Cliff, and my oath is I promise to tell the truth. Hope that's okay. My sister is
I'll take that.
Okay. My sister is not on tonight. She had a prior engagement and was unable to make the meeting, but so I guess I'll be speaking for both of us. There are actually two variances. One is for she and I to be able to go across our property line with the fence along the back and then between the two houses. Now, this will not be in the front yard at all. It'll just be between the two houses, and then it's going to go off my back deck, like back towards my garage, and then along the back and of both properties, and then come back up to her home. So our lots are small. We're sisters, and we thought it best if you guys would approve it, we felt it best to be able to fence in both yards. Now, the fence will be built in such a manner that if she moves or if I move, or if we get mad at each other, we can build a fence down the middle on the property line, if that's approved, or off the property line if it's not, relatively easy. The second variance would be for both of us to be able to put the fence that goes along the back of the properties on the property line. Right now, it would have to be 1 foot in our property off the line. And then that's going to create an issue for us and for the neighbor to our south for mowing issues, maintenance issues. I don't know. I mean, I assume she would have no issue with me having a lawnmower back there that extends past my line into her property. But you never know who, if she sells and the next person doesn't want that. I just feel that it's better for both my sister and I and the person to our south. If the fence is put on the property line, we'll be able to enjoy more of our property that we're paying taxes on. And then there's not the maintenance issue to the person to our south. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what we're asking is to have a variance at the front of our property, or well, actually the middle of the houses, and adjoining at the back of the houses, and then have also the rear fence line back on the property line. So that's basically it. Anyone have any questions or?
Does anybody on BZA have any questions for her at the moment?
Nowhere does it say what type of fence.
It's a wooden fence. It's just a wood. It's not like a privacy fence.
Okay, that's what.
No no privacy fence. Just a wood fence.
Okay.
Basically, we both have grandchildren, and we're both, each of us, getting a puppy. So we basically need to keep, what we want in our yard, and what we don't want in our yard, out of our yard. I know people have said to put up a underground fence or an electric fence or whatever for the dogs, but that may keep our dogs in, but it doesn't keep other things out. And, we just want to be good neighbors and have, contain our pets and kids in our fence.
So you're looking at like a 3 or 4 foot fence as opposed to the 6 foot privacy?
Right. No privacy fence.
Okay.
The only other thing I had a concern about, when I viewed the site, there's an evergreen tree that could be damaged with the fence on the property line. Have you considered that?
The fence will not go out that far.
Oh, okay.
No,
I saw a stake that marked the property line.
Yes, that's the property line, but the evergreen tree that's over close to Wagner,
Yes.
the fence will not extend past her driveway. So, were you just out here?
Yes.
So okay. Do you know where her shed is back there?
Yes.
Okay. The fence will go behind her shed, and then as soon as it gets past her shed, it will turn and come up to her house, eliminating her driveway being inside the fence. So
Okay.
the fence won't even get close to the evergreen tree.
Okay. The evergreen tree I noticed was north of her driveway, I thought. No? Okay.
No,
No.
no. Neither one of us have a tree on our property line. We both have 2 small trees in our yard, but they're not anywhere close to the fence line. No, the tree would be south of her driveway.
Okay. And the fence would be east of your driveway.
The fence would be, give me a minute. The fence would be west of my driveway. I'm 521. I'm the white house. She's the log cabin looking house.
Okay.
So as you're standing at the road, looking at both of our houses,
I'm standing in the backyard, sorry.
oh, you're in the backyard?
In the backyard.
All right, so you're in the backyard looking toward the back of our houses. Then my house would be on your right and
Okay,
her house would be on your left.
okay,
And then the fence basically is just kind of section off the backyard with a chunk going between the two houses.
so the fence will come up and attach to the corner of her house?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
it's not going west enough to get into the evergreen tree that I noticed.
No,
Okay, okay. All right, that answers my question. Thank you.
All right.
thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else on that wants to speak in favor of this variance, or these variances, I should say? Hearing none and seeing no one unmuting at the moment, I will flip it over to opponents. And is there anybody on that wants to speak against this variance? All right, hearing none, but I will let everyone know, I did get an email from Rosita Witham, who lives at 224 North Wagner, which is the property just to the back of this. And she writes, and this email will become part of the minutes for the next meeting, but I'll read it verbatim right now for everyone. Dear Mayor Nicodemus, unfortunately, I will be unable to attend the May 13th Zoom hearing concerning the installation of new fencing for Darla Markham, 521 East Cliff, and Tamara Conway, 157 East Cliff. I believe that's a typo there. I would, however, like to clarify the placement of the fences in relation to my property, which abuts both of their properties. I prefer that their new fences not be placed directly on the lot lines of my property. I feel the fences would be too close to my driveway if placed on the lot line, and it might affect the appraisal of my property when I am ready to sell. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Rosita Witham. So, did everybody catch all of that? All right, seeing head nod. All right. Now, does BZA have any other questions? And if not, I will ask how the three of you would like to proceed this evening on these two variances regarding the fence, regarding the fences. If you want to discuss it briefly tonight and make a decision, or if based on information you want to ponder it and make a decision at the next meeting, we can do that.
I do have a couple questions.
Ask away, sir.
The fence would run along the south side of both properties, see on the back side, and then come up on the east side, I believe it is, of the 521 property.
Yes,
But that one will not be on the property line.
no,
So that would just come up to the corner of the house then.
it'll come up to the corner of the deck that's on the back of the house, so not even the corner of the house.
Okay, so the only place you'd be on the property line would be just on the south side, adjoining the neighbor who did send an email.
Correct.
Okay,
Now, let me say that the fence will cross the property line for both my sister at 521, which is mine, and my sister 517. So the fence will cross between the houses and cross at the back on the property line. It won't run on the property line, it will cross the property line.
Mhm.
Does that make
And
sense?
you're talking the property line between your house and her house.
Yes, that's correct. So
Okay.
that's one of the variances is to be able to run the fence over both the property line between her house and my house. And then the second variance is to be able to place the fence on the property line along the
On
back.
the south side.
Yes.
Now, if the fence on the property line on the south is not placed on that, how I mean, is your sister's shed 2 feet off? Is that going to do something weird with the fencing and shed right there if it doesn't completely box it in?
No, if we hold it back, we originally held when we drew this out, we originally held the fence back off the property line, a foot or two or a foot and a half, something like that, just to be in compliance because we knew we had to build off the line. And then it was mentioned that zoning or whomever is looking to change that policy and allow fencing on the line. So with that, then we decided, well, we might as well, since we're building the fence, we might as well ask for a variance and be able to put the fence on the line. I mean, I don't feel that the fence being 1 foot closer to her driveway or her driveway being placed on the property line is going to impede her at all. I just don't feel that it would. I mean, it's close anyway. So what is 1 foot?
I see what the mayor is saying. He's concerned that if you've got it placed on the property line, that you might end up with a little pocket there that's hard to reach between the fence and your shed.
Oh, no, there won't be.
Okay.
No, it won't be.
And
I'm sorry,
now
I misunderstood what you were asking.
And for BZA, this isn't obviously exact, but while talking, I pulled up on the auditor's website the parcels here, and I pulled up the property to the south to get its property line and used the distance tool that's part of the website, and going from the property line to the driveway gives me, I've done it twice. One time it gave me a little over 9, almost 9.5 feet. The second time it gave me 10 feet. Again, it's a GIS on the county website, so not exact, but it doesn't appear that the driveway is exactly on the property line.
No, it is not. No, and I'll just say this, I take at least 4 swipes on my riding mower back there. So whatever that is, that's how much distance there is.
All right.
Now, if I remember correctly, when we went through the whole zoning code a few years back, personally, I've always felt that we should be able to put a fence right on the property line. But if I remember right, the argument was that since it's your fence, you need to be able to take care of both sides of it, which would include, mowing and weeding. And that was the main argument.
That was, and then what happens though is if someone, where did I see it recently in the village? You get a fence 1 foot off the line, and then you get the neighbor's fence 1 foot off the line, and you've got a 2 foot DMZ in the middle. That may or may not, may or may not get cut. May or may not have mower issues to get through there. And as Dwayne brought up in the council meeting last fall, sometimes people just tie their fences together. And where I grew up, that's what we did. Neighbors on one side had a fence, and we wanted a fence, so your fence goes in, and you kind of still have to take care of both sides, but it's there, and it doesn't give us that 2 foot strip in between 2 yards with fences.
Well, and say personally, I agree with putting the fence on the property line.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, not necessarily in this case, but if you have 2 neighbors who are not happy with each other, that can create a bit of a problem as far as maintenance on the fence.
It could, but I don't know that our zoning code is, meant to solve neighbor disputes like that. If neighbors don't like each other, I don't know that a 2 foot barrier between the two of them is going to solve any problems either.
Well, but I know what Mr. Mauger is saying. If it's my fence, I can walk around and be on my property to paint it, as opposed to be imposing on the neighbor's property to stand and paint it. That's what he's.
Well, yeah, I get it. I don't know that I could fit on a 1-foot swatch outside of a fence though to paint.
Well, no, I mean, I totally agree with you there. I mean,
Yeah.
I personally think we should do them on the property line, but yet we chose not to do that. I just want to make sure that we're, basically make sure we're thinking everything through.
We did, and that's why, Terry and I have had a number of conversations about it, and that's why, we're going to bring it back for further discussion on Planning Commission to discuss, is it something we want to keep or want to change? And again, if it is something that we do change, I think it's only appropriate then that we refund the one variance for this if it is granted tonight.
Right.
Would it be appropriate to ask the neighbor to the south to provide some sort of substantiation that putting it on the property line would negatively affect her property value, if that's her main concern?
I certainly don't think it would be out of bounds. I mean, we could always ask them to provide some sort of verification. That would delay a decision tonight, which would delay them potentially putting up a fence. But absolutely, that is an option to be able to say, we want to consider this. Can you provide us, and short of a full appraisal, what's your property value with it 1 foot off the line, and what's your property value with it right next door? Personally, I don't know that it's going to change because it's not that person's property.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Yeah.
So do we want to, is that something everyone wants to do though and ask for that, or are we ready to proceed on a vote on this? Or
I'm a little uncomfortable not being able to talk to that other person to see why they're against it. So I feel at a disadvantage to make, because with her opposition, like Mr. Looney has stated, it would be nice to have her be able to substantiate her concerns. I know that it would be great to go build the fence tomorrow, but is there any way we could, we can move our timeline anytime within the 30 days, can't we?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Since she's the only one we need to talk to, can we just set up a Zoom that is convenient for her?
We can do that. I think we could also, I think we could also, if you wanted to do a conditional one tonight as well, if we don't get anything back, or if we get something back and it does not affect the property. But you know what? It'd probably just be cleaner to maybe set another hearing next week or the week after. But we absolutely can move up the timeline. Is that what everyone wants to do then on this one? And then we can, because I've had email contact with her, I can email her after the meeting tonight and just ask her to, provide us some sort of substantiation of the claim that being that close would affect her property value when she goes to sell. And let her know the next meeting that we'll set so that she has an opportunity to appear at that one.
I guess I would feel more comfortable being able to communicate directly with her.
Okay.
Before I make a decision.
I kind of agree. I feel like it wouldn't, to me, it would not be a problem to put it right on the line. It seems like it makes sense. I also kind of feel like she had an opportunity to be here, then she could have. But I mean, if it's just the one opportunity, maybe it would make sense to give her another opportunity to have another time to hear her side and maybe explain more than just that. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like it would make sense for it to go there.
Okay. Ken, thoughts?
I would personally be comfortable moving forward with it tonight and approving it. But if that's the way the rest of the board feels that we should hold off for the additional input, I'm okay with that.
Okay. And since there's only 3 of you tonight, those 2 that are going to prevail. So what I would ask is hang on for this one. We'll set it for another hearing. We've got 2 more variances tonight, which again, the committee can make a decision on tonight or put off onto another one. But maybe we can, at the end of the meeting, we'll look at our calendars and we'll try to get something on the books for next week so that, you know, we're not delaying a fence getting up too long, another month or anything like that if this is approved. And even if it's not, the fence is going to go up. It's just a matter of where the backside is going to go. So, ma'am, if you want to hang out for the rest of the meeting, that way you'll know when we're going to reset the one for next week.
Sure.
Well, Mayor, can we set the meeting without communicating with the other property owner?
Well, I'm going to email her after the meeting tonight and let her know when we reset it.
Well, but what if we choose a date that she can't come again? Do you see what I'm saying?
I'm probably going to be mean and say we're going to set the meeting according to our schedules. And, you know, that will be 2 opportunities for someone to have attended.
Okay.
But I'm also a little jaded because I'm trying to schedule another meeting right now with a bunch of people across a bunch of different organizations, and it's a pain. So I'm in one of those moods where we're going to set a meeting according to the primary participant schedules, and everyone else will get notice. And if it's a priority, we'll make it happen.
Okay. I'm just saying, if she can't come, we really are defeating our purpose of setting the meeting.
If she can't come, you know, she can always submit another email with some additional details.
Okay.
Or she could have a representative attend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Can you,
all right.
Can you at least, can you at least vote on the variance between my sister and I's property line? Because there are 2.
Mm-hmm. Is that your variance or was that her? Well,
they're both the same number.
Well, there's 33
33 and 21. Wait.
33, 20, 32. It's numbers 32 and 33 for the year is how they're numbered.
Okay.
And I'm trying to
have.
So here's the problem with that is because the back fence is included on both because it's a little bit of them. Is your idea you kind of want to get the people set up to at least get started on some of it?
Well, yes, I at least need to try and secure a contractor.
Okay. We could,
because right now I'm in limbo. I can't schedule anything.
Can we, because we can't vote on that without voting on the whole thing, but I don't think it would be inappropriate for the committee to hold a vote on whether or not they are okay with not putting up the fence between the 2 properties. So that would give you your approval, but not in writing yet for that part.
Yeah, that would, I just need something to be able to go to a contractor with.
Okay. And that makes sense.
I appreciate that.
So let me just ask then, with regards to the not putting a fence properties, if you are in favor of that or not when it comes time for the final variance approval. Okay.
I'm accepting of the joining of the two.
All right.
And that is variance 32-21.
I think that's the primary one on it, but it's kind of included on both of them.
They're very
because
combined.
Yes.
Yeah,
I should
they
make
both
sure that we're voting on the correct one.
Well, right now it's just more or less so she can go ahead and tell the contractor that they don't, when she lines it up, she doesn't have to have the fence in between the two properties.
Okay, so we're not voting on it. We're just kind of giving an affirmative.
Yes, we're giving an affirmative on that part of the variance right now.
Okay.
On that part of both variances right now.
Yeah, I see no issue why they can't connect their back fences together there.
All right.
I agree.
And Robert?
I agree.
All right, thank you. Hopefully that helps you get the contractor and hang out until the end of the meeting, and we'll get that next date set so that we can get some finalization on the back, on the south side part of the fence. So
Yep, certainly. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. So now I guess I should, for the minutes, note that was submitted timely and there was notice sent out 10 days prior to the hearing. So we will move on now to the next variant. Yes.
Mayor, you are not a voting member?
No.
I am not a voting member. I get to chair the committee, but I do not get a vote.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Good clarification, though. All right, so now we'll move on to variance 3421-21. I hope I pronounced this right, Zoller, for 607 North Main Street. Has to do with an accessory structure. If I recall this one properly, the applicants own 603 North Main and 607 North Main. There's no longer a primary structure at the one parcel. There is a garage in the back, and they want to add in what is essentially an additional accessory structure to that second property. I do believe they intend to, at some point in the future, join those or do a lot combination between those two so that it is, in fact, one parcel. They did file this timely. Notices went out, and Terry's staff report on it is that BZA consider granting this variance, again, because the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered. And in fact, the Zollers have improved not only the property, but the area as a whole with their investments into these two parcels already. So with that, then I will ask, I think I saw a Brittany Z on here, and I'm going to assume that is our applicant. Give her an opportunity to unmute.
I'm Christopher Zoller. I'm on here also. I don't know if
okay.
I think it comes up iPad too.
All right. So, Christopher, I'll give you the same oath. You promise the information you're about to give us is truthful to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
All right. You want to tell us a little bit about your application and what we're doing on the property?
So what we're applying for is at this time we would like to put in another, essentially it's a shed. It's a large shed, but it's a lot nicer looking than your average shed. And what we intend to use it for is more of a workshop for her and I, because we have the one shed at the back of the property that honestly is full of Christmas decorations and a lot of other stuff with two kids. We have the garage that we are in the process of restoring that's on 607 that it's, we just put a new roof on that because the roof was coming off of it. And it's still currently a dirt floor in there. at some point down the road, I would like to put concrete in there and turn it into a real garage. But of course, I have a lot of projects going on, so I can't tell you that's going to be, next week or next month. So right now, that is essentially there for storing, lawn equipment and stuff like that. So this gives us another opportunity to do some other stuff, for us that we won't necessarily have room to do in the other two buildings. It's a very nice looking cottage. It's going to match the house, and it will match the garage and the other shed once we're done painting and redoing everything. It's completely unfinished on the inside. It is actually a shed. It's the same basic structure as the other shed we have. The same people built it. This one's just sort of an upgraded version that's going to look a lot nicer because it's going to be toward the front of the property. Does that make sense to everybody?
It does, at least to me.
And I do intend on combining the two lots sooner than later. I'm all new to this, so I've had some conversations with Terry as to the process of that. Her and I are going to talk more once she's back from vacation as to how to proceed with that. But in the meantime, I'd like to get the building there and start, moving on with other projects as well. Between the two properties, neither one was in terrific shape when we acquired them, and we're doing our best to make them a lot nicer.
All right. And I'll ask the first question. So based on the schematic that I see, the front of the building is going to be about 30 feet off the road.
Yes, and the schematic you see is drawn by myself because I did not find a property sketch on the website, so it is very amateurish. I'm sorry.
Well, as long as we got some measurements there, so 30 feet is going to put it a little bit behind your residential property on the lot next door, right?
Yeah, the concern there is a beautiful tree, which I don't know what kind of tree it is, right next to our house, and we don't want this structure. Magnolia, thank you, dear. We don't want the structure to interfere with the magnolia tree because it is gorgeous.
Okay. I see that. I'm pulling it up on the auditor's map. So, BZA. Well, I guess does BZA members have any questions for them at the moment before I turn it over to see if there's anybody else on here for this one?
I just wanted to double check to make sure that the zoning district, there's a GB. So is that general business on the application?
Yeah, because I think.
Am I right, Mayor?
Yeah, I think because it's that part right there on the Rome side that is, I think, still general business because you go from residential to business to residential, because Bob's Oil Can is right across the street. So we're talking the two parcels right there. I don't have to tell you guys, you know where they're at. But you are correct. I do believe it is considered general business right there.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on the abbreviation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what would the use of the property be? Would it be commercial in any way or strictly residential?
At this point, strictly residential. We plan on using it, two kids, letting them play, just family stuff. So the reason we even bought it was because the gentleman who bought it, he bought it to redo that house. That house was in much worse shape than he even realized. And having been inside it and looked in the house when it went up for foreclosure, it was in very bad shape. And he felt like his only option thereafter was maybe to use it as storage units. Having two young, and he was nice enough to share this with me and offer me the property because having two young children, I don't want to live next to storage units with two young kids.
Okay, but there's no intention of down the road using that as a commercial purpose.
I don't think so, but I can't promise you that.
But that's not your initial purpose, though.
That is not the initial
Okay.
purpose right now. Right now, we're trying to create space and make the properties around us nicer.
And
Well,
doing
Mayor,
a good
yes,
job, I must say. I'm sorry, Ken?
If the properties were combined right now, there'd be no need for a variance, correct?
Correct. That is my understanding. I would like to get this done sooner than later. As far as getting the building, I've already purchased the building, not understanding the zoning code, and right now I'm just trying to get it delivered. And so there's other stuff I'd like to do with the property also. And one of the reasons eventually I might want to extend the fence. So combining the properties only makes sense in the long run from what Terry has told me in the conversations I've had with Terry.
Ken, I think the other issue is the location. All accessory structures shall be located completely to the rear of the principal structure. And that's why I noticed the mayor noted that it was even with the rear of the house. Didn't you say, Mayor?
Well, it would be, and I'm trying to do the auditor website thing. It would be, it looks like behind the front of the house, but correct me if I'm wrong, Brittany and Christopher, but it wouldn't be completely behind the structure. So it'd be behind the front of the house, but the front of the building that they want to build would not be completely behind the back of their house, because it looks like there's like an extension or a sunroom that had been built onto the back.
Exactly. Okay. And it would be extremely awkward with that garage in the back to put it that far back on that property.
We have pictures of the building, if that would help.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yes.
I don't know how well this will show up.
Oh, okay.
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 Hey,
And then
Ken?
the interior is unfinished.
Okay.
It is really just a glorified shed, but it's a really nice looking shed that, you may not want a shed that far forward on that property normally. So this would make it look, I think, a lot more appealing.
You don't intend to take utilities to it?
I don't.
Just electric, right?
Maybe electric. Yes, electric. It does not have a bathroom. There is no plans to ever, put a finished bathroom or any kind of sink in there. Electric. So, if we do have a workshop, we'd like to be able to plug in the tools. I would prefer to have it, once I get the two properties combined, I would tie it into the electric from my home on 603.
Looks like it would make a nice playhouse for some kids too.
Absolutely. That's what everything turns into.
Spoken like a true parent.
It's intended as a playhouse for the parents, but it will. Yeah.
All right.
I think that another piece of the variance based on this drawing would need to be the setback variance, because the side yard setback is 15 feet for general business district. And on the one side, you have your house, which you've got 5 feet 6 from that lot. On the other side is straight to the alley, which is 9 feet 6 would be from the side of the building to the alley. Is that right?
Correct. Where we had it marked out when we looked at it, as far as where we thought it would look best. Obviously, nothing has been done as making that those dimensions etched in stone.
Right. And of course, if you combine the lots, then the 5'6" on the one side isn't too bad, because it's a combined lot. But then you got the 9'6", but good catch. And obviously, granted, that should be part of it as I'm flipping to my GB.
Is 15 feet the what's needed from that alleyway?
I'm checking.
That's the side yard setback.
Yeah. Net 88. So yep, side yard would be 15 feet. So let's see. 51. So front's plenty good. Rear's good. So yeah, so
In
but
my
at
head,
that thing, but oh, go ahead.
in my head, I feel like in that spot, there's not a sidewalk there already that people are walking up and down. The sidewalks on North Main Street. Potentially it could affect the sight line if you're coming down the alley turning on North Main, but it seems like it'd be far enough back from the front that that would
building next door on the other side of the alley. It would sit further back than the beginning of that. So I wouldn't think it would interfere with any sight line because it would be set further back than either pre-existing structure on either side.
Yeah. And it looks like, well, that property, looking at it on the auditor's side, is also some of the properties in the village go to the center line of the road with a right of way across them, and some of them don't. And this one looks like it's at the edge of the road as well. But I can't tell. It almost looks like, I don't know that the house that's sitting there is 15 feet off the property line.
It definitely was not. I can tell you from where stuff was when it went away.
And so, I mean, I'm not sure what type of, how big is the total lot? 51 by,
I think it was listed as 51 by 100, and I don't have it in front of me.
165 is what's on the drawing.
And I pulled those numbers straight off the auditor's site.
okay, so 51 by 165. So that's 8,400 square feet. So that's going to make it an R3 if it were a residential lot. And on an R3 lot, our side yard setback is 4 feet and 2 feet for an accessory structure.
I was going to say 603. I don't think we have 15 feet between.
Yeah. Yeah. So my guess is at some point those were probably residentials, and then when businesses popped up, changed over to the general business, which allows residential and the business. But like I said, if it were an R3, the side yard setbacks would be 2 feet for an accessory structure, 4 feet for a primary structure. So the 9 feet 6 inches, give or take, and then the 5 feet on the other side would fall within those approved setbacks if it were an R3 lot as opposed to in a general business district.
Well, and even if it were R1, the accessory for the side is 10. So if they shifted it 6 inches, he'd have it for that even.
And to be honest with you, I'm the one who measured the 9 feet 6 inches.
So it could be 10 feet 1 inch, right?
I'm not going to pretend to be a surveyor.
That's all right. So.
No, I personally don't have a problem with the setbacks and that. I would like it to be back a little bit further, just because it's not really behind the main structure, but I'm willing to give on that. My biggest concern is still the fact that right now the properties aren't combined. Now, I would be willing to possibly go along with the variance if we had a guarantee that they will be combined in the near future.
Like I said, I planned on having I spoke to Terry about 2 hours ago, and she was going to call me when she got back from Kansas City to help guide me along the process of getting the two combined. So I plan on having it done sooner than later. And the variance was, honestly, when I talked to Terry about this, her suggestion to get us going, but with the idea that, I have no problem running 2 lots, and I plan on doing it immediately. So.
Yeah. And Ken, Terry did talk to me about this as well, because when we were trying to figure out how they wanted to do this, the lot combination takes a little bit more time, and they wanted to get moving on it. So that's when we came up with the let's, work on the variance so that they can get going on it. But, they have been in contact with Terry about getting them combined. So that is accurate.
Well, Ken, would you feel better if we granted the variance with that condition?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. So would that would solve our problem then, Mayor? We could grant the variance with the condition that they begin the process of combining the two parcels?
Absolutely.
And I would like to put just a time limit on that, whether it be, I don't know how long that takes, but 6 months or whatever.
Well, we could say,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, we could say, that the lot combination process start within like 3 months, and that way it started in a process. Or if you wanted it a little sooner, whatever. The problem with the lot combination is I'm not sure if we have to go through regional planning as well in Fairfield County to get that, or if we cannot just do that all internally. So it may take some time once the process starts. So if we're going to put a time frame on it, I would just ask that we, make it the process, the application to combine them must be submitted within so many days, weeks, or months, so that we know it is a process.
My only concern is also, from what I understand from Terry, I have to have the property surveyed. And I'm guessing if surveyors or anything like contractors these days, they are probably very, very busy. Getting a contractor, getting supplies, everything is taking so long. I really do intend on starting the process literally next week with Terry when she gets back.
It is taking a couple of weeks to more than a couple of weeks to get plots surveyed right now. That is true as well. But we can, again, start the application process with Terry and get it going. And then if we have to, if we're waiting on a survey, that's just the next step.
Okay, excellent.
But before BZA makes a motion here or anything, I do need to ask if there is anybody else on the Zoom call in favor or in opposition to this particular variance. And I don't see anybody unmuting, so I will say that there's no one else there for it. So
I
turn it back over to you.
I move that we grant the variance as written with the condition that they begin the process necessary to combine the two parcels into one within the next 3 months.
And I will second that.
All right.
Do our owners have any problems with the parameters?
No,
Okay.
not at all. No, absolutely.
Okay.
Can I ask you to go ahead and modify that just a hair, just so that we can keep all the paperwork straight in the office as we try to straighten all this out, and also include that the setbacks are okay as long as they confine to like an R3 setback? Since they don't qualify for the GB setbacks because they're not appropriate there, that way we have that as well.
Well, but we don't know that we have an exact measurement. he himself admitted that.
Right.
We
So
have,
maybe we say just so long as the building, you know, is within the
Complies with the setback requirements.
for like an R3. That way they don't have to come back when Terry says, well, you know, we brought this up and now we need the variance for the setbacks or something like that once it gets staked out. That way we don't have to go through this again with them. Just trying to make it easy, you know, so if as long as it complies with setbacks for, like I said, I think it would be an R3 if it wasn't in the GB.
Do we need to formally amend the motion, or do we need to add an amendment to it?
I think you do it either way. I think you could amend your motion to approve the variance, include with the condition that the lot combinations start within 3 months, and acknowledging that the setbacks will be, well, it could be a condition, and setbacks will be within, you know, an R3 parameters.
Okay, I believe we have to vote on the initial motion first, and then we can move to amend it. Am I correct?
You'd amend your motion.
I thought we had to,
Now, because if we vote on your motion, then you're going to make a second motion.
no, we can amend it after it's been passed.
Okay. So then, Williamson
Yes?
and Mager
Yes.
and Looney.
Yes.
All right.
Do
Now
you
you can amend
gentlemen want to amend my motion to incorporate the guidelines for R3 setbacks? Mr. Looney, why don't you do that, since you were the
it.
eagle eye who found that discrepancy?
I'll support that.
All right.
Is
That
that
sounded
enough?
like a motion to amend to include the R3 setbacks to me.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion on that? All right. Williamson
Yes.
and Mager
Yes.
and Looney.
Yes.
All right. So that will be approved as well. So we have an approval with those conditions for variance 3421. You guys obviously know Terry's on vacation, so the paperwork won't get done until probably mid next week when she gets back into the office and gets caught up. But you know it's on the way for you.
excellent. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you for being
Thank
well
you for joining.
prepared.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to hang out for the rest of the meeting if you want.
Thank you very much. Have a good
All
night.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too. All right. Moving on now to variance. Oh, what's our number on this one? Well, this is Rogers variance at Holder Road, 0 Holder Road. Where's my variance number? 36-21.
Except now, Mayor, you
Um,
said the last one was 34 and my paper says 35.
Oh, am I at 35? Sorry.
So I don't
I think
know.
I've got, I think
You said the
I've
last,
got it listed as. Yeah.
okay, so we really
So-
are on 36?
I believe so, but we'll call it the variance for 0 Holder Road by Roger Woods. And
Okay.
since that's the only one on there, we'll know. Now, this one was submitted timely and notices went out. Has to do with, and I'll have something on this in a minute, but has to do with the parcel. It is an R2. It does not have 100 feet of road frontage. It is at 78 feet.
It's what?
78 feet of road frontage.
Okay, that's not what's in the documents. There are two different numbers in the documents. One says 60 and one says 68.
The one I'm looking at says 78.
There's a drawing included that that says 68 feet, but the narrative says 78 feet.
Well, the narrative I'm looking at says that entranceway would only be 60 feet wide. It's the page that has. So I think we need some clarification on that stipulation.
Well, which page? Because I see one where there's a 60-foot wide one, but that is the similar parcel further down the road that had been previously approved.
Okay.
Here, so let me show you.
It says, see attached drawing of property on Holder Road developed in the same manner. Oh, okay, so it's in reference to a different property's entranceway was 60 feet. Okay.
Correct.
But then there's another drawing that, so is it 68 or 70?
It is, I believe, 78 feet. Is it? And
The drawings show 68 feet.
Let me share this real quick so you guys can see what I'm looking at.
The one that one says 68. It's been whited out. I did not get that whited out. That's not on the original document I received. It's the original document I received says 68.
I have the same page as you get in my packet.
Yeah,
it says 68
altered.
feet there. but that narrative says 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I have another question, Mayor.
Okay.
If you go to the application page, right there, the date is given as 2002.
This is the old one, isn't it? Oh, no, it does say 40, 30, 22.
So that document is not accurate.
Well, but we can ask Roger about the date right there. I know April 30th is about the date he turned it in. Obviously, if you look here, he didn't turn in a 2002 application on a revision for an application that was revised August of 2017.
I know, but this is a legal document.
So, and I think the other one was previously prepared in 2002. Nope, that was 2001. That was done. So, I don't know. We can ask Roger in a minute about the date, but I do know that April 30th of this year is when he turned it in. And again, I don't think he could do it 2002 on a revision of 2017.
I just wanted to make note that that's the date listed on a legal document.
So
I didn't know if it needed to be correct.
I'm sorry, Mayor, but I'm having connection problems there. I missed that. What was going on there?
I'm brought to the attention the fact that the application is dated 2002.
well, yeah, it's dated 2002 on an application that was revised in 2017.
Well, okay, I'm just saying.
I get it.
Does it need to be amended, or can Roger just represent in this meeting or something that it was submitted April 30th,
Yes.
2021?
Yeah, I think
because we don't have Terry here to document that.
I think you can do that, but I do know because Terry told me when this one came in that it was around the end of April because we were wondering if it was going to make it for this BZA meeting or not.
Okay.
So,
and so you're saying my document is wrong? It's not 68 feet, it's 78 feet?
yeah, I don't. And you're looking at one that came from Barb?
Yes, and Mr. Looney has the same one. It's the highlighted one where you can see on your copy, it's been whited out and the 6 has been changed to a 7.
on this one that I'm showing right now.
Oh, that one right there, that's been whited out. And the 6 was changed to a 7. My document says 68 feet. And Mr. Looney, yours does too?
Yeah, it does look like on what you have on the screen right now that the 7 is like blue,
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of the writing appears to be
It's 8.
black.
Yeah.
So it looks like that was fixed or changed at least on what's on the screen.
Let me see.
I'm just concerned about discrepancies.
Well, 68 or 70. Let me. I mean, I guess
That's way off.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's there.
Not. I mean, I'm looking at the one that I got from Barb with everybody else, and mine says 78. So I'm not sure where the 68 one is coming from. 5'11".
You need to pick up.
So, but let me. Yeah, I don't. And that's the one I just forwarded you this week, Robert. So I'm not sure where.
Yeah.
How.
The one you forwarded me an email matches
Mhm.
what you have on the screen right now. Well, I went to the village office today to pick up the printed packet, the zoning packet, and she gave me a printed packet of the variances as well. And this printed version has that same drawing, but it says 68 feet.
68. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mine says
Yeah.
68, and I picked mine up from the village office last week.
I am looking at the minutes from August 13th, where we discussed this
Before.
last year, and that one states 68 feet.
Okay. Well, let me move on and tell you guys. So I'm not sure that 68 or 78 is going to be determinative here. So before we get into Roger's talking about what is going on, because included in here is, of course, that the plan, as I understand it, is to subdivide that into 6 parcels for homes. That is not the what's before BZA tonight. That actually, once that goes through, will actually go through the planning commission, because that'll be a any lot split there, so would be part of a planned unit development under our code, and those go through planning commission. Jeff Faco, the solicitor, called me today to talk about this one, because we haven't really had a planned unit development for a while, where we've had all of these units going in. And in talking about this variance, while it's titled a variance, it's not a true variance with regards to what we need to do, because this one, according to him, falls under 1236.04, which is a non-conforming lot, because it doesn't have enough frontage. So let me get to where it said, separate ownership. If the lot has less than the required public road frontage prior to the zoning administrator issuing a zoning permit, and again, there is no zoning permit other than because there is no PUD application yet to build anything there. The Board of Zoning Appeals shall determine that adequate access can be provided. BZA may require shared access agreement or similar agreements to to be made to ensure adequate access can be provided. So according to Jeff, the only thing that we have to decide tonight is, and can decide tonight under this, is does, whether it's apparently 68 feet or 78 feet, does that width right there provide adequate access to the parcel? Anything else will be part of the development plan once it's filed. So this is just about is 68 feet, and we'll go with the smaller number, is 68 feet, essentially wide enough for a driveway. So that was from my conversation with Jeff this afternoon. And with that, I will ask Roger if he wants to hop on and say anything, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a while. Roger, you still on?
He's gone. Nope, he's still there.
I see him there.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, if I could, Ted Reedy.
Yeah. Well, hold on, Ted. Let me give Roger one more second. Sometimes he has it. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe he'll pop back on. Is there anybody here else in favor of this?
Mayor, can you hear me?
Ah, there's Roger. Okay.
You got me?
We've got you now.
Okay. Hey, when this was laid out in 1992, the street worthiness was 60 feet. We left 68 feet for an island.
Okay.
And that's the reason for the 68 feet. 60 feet for the street and 8 feet for the island.
Okay. So it is 68 feet, not 78?
Well, I'm not real sure. It's I really didn't look.
All right. Is it, can you guarantee us it's no smaller than 68 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So then, do you have anything else to add at the moment? Oh, I think he muted again. All right. So I will move on to anybody in opposition. And Ted spoke up first, so I'll let you go as soon as I ask you the information you're about to give, truthful to the best of your knowledge and belief.
Yes.
All right.
And the only thing I was going to say was that the letter you sent out to the neighboring properties says the entrance is 92 feet and 8 foot short. So you talk about documents being correct, this one's not correct. So, and I don't have any problem with what Roger's doing. I'm just saying if we're going to have, correct information, it needs to be correct on both sides.
And I think, Mike, was it you that contacted me about that as well? Or maybe it was Don. Someone else had sent that in about that too, because I saw that as well on that form that Terry sent out.
So we need to look at that at 68 feet then.
At 68 feet.
Okay, that's the only thing I had.
Okay. Anybody else?
This is Mike Lieber, and what I'm going to say is true, and whatever. I promise.
Well, Mike, I know where you're at there because you're on the list there too. So yeah.
200 Holder Road. Again, on that
okay.
document, the document says 5 residential structures, and you say it's 6. So is it 5 or 6?
Roger, has your plan changed? Because I was told 6 and your drawing has 5, or is it 6? Well, and again, I guess to some degree, Mike, I'm not sure that as far as tonight, that matters as much, because that is part of the planned unit development process that the Planning Commission will have to review when he submits that. So I mean, in all fairness, it could change from 5 or 6 to 4 or 8. This doesn't require a confirmed number, because it's only about is what is there wide enough for access to the property. When the lot goes to get split and subdivided and homes built is when a final and non-changing number will have to be submitted.
Yeah, I just was trying to get accurate information off the sheet.
Oh, yeah.
And I have no problem with what he's trying to do either. I mean, I'm farther down the road, but I have no problem with it.
Mayor, can you hear me okay?
We can now.
Okay. I got to tell you a little story. All I wanted was a barn built back here. That's what I started out to do, just a barn. But from what I understand, you have to build a house before you can build a barn on city property. Is that correct?
Unless you get a variance to not have an accessory structure without a primary,
Okay.
like we just did on the one before this.
Well, this whole thing has grown through the months, okay? My first thought was to build a super nice barn back here and have something pretty nice for myself and maybe the neighbors. But then I was encouraged to possibly put some houses back here, somewhat like what's behind my house. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been planning it. And I'm back in the field now. Can anybody see me? Apparently not.
No.
I can see you, Roger.
You can't. Hi, Mike. Hi. Okay. I don't know. I'm on an iPhone back at the pond. And what I was hoping was that I could give everybody a little bit of a tour of what I want to do back here. But
well, and
I don't have time.
That is well, and that's more appropriate for when you submit your building plans and your development plans for the parcel. For right now, it's just about a non-conforming lot needing to clarify the paperwork for the village that there is adequate access to that parcel on what road frontage exists.
Sure. Well, when we laid this out, 68 feet was fine back in whenever. And I'm not sure why I even had to get permission or I needed to do a variance. I'm still unclear on that.
Well, when you divided this out, was it in the village then in 92?
Yes. We annexed it in probably 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the zoning code was back then. But Roger is correct that even under our existing code, in order to put in a road, you only need 60 feet of right of way.
Now, the reason we had 68 feet, of course, was the island.
Right.
And we basically had much more than that at one time. And we basically just gave it to the neighbor. I explained that in the last meeting we had. And we narrowed it down to 68 feet. We still want to do, or I still want to do something back here, but I'm not clear. But right now, I'd like to just build a barn, and I can't build a barn unless I get a building permit. And I can't get a building permit unless there's something I have to do, and I'm not sure what it is.
Well, Roger, that would have been that's a conversation for another time.
Okay.
Because yeah. So tonight is this, again, under the non-conforming lot, is the minimum width right there of 68 feet. It may be 78 feet. But is that, if it is no less than 68 feet, adequate access to that lot, to that non-conforming road frontage lot?
Here would be my question. You're saying 60 feet is all that's required for a road. Now, is this a road or is this just a driveway?
I don't know that it, after talking with Jeff, I don't know that it matters for our discussion tonight. When Roger files his plan to develop it, whether it's a barn and he wants to put in a driveway, or 6 or 7 homes and he wants to do a driveway like he did further down by his house, or he wants to build and dedicate it as a road, that comes as part of the unit development plan that will get submitted. I think, tonight is 68 feet access.
Well, my point is, if he's going to put in a road, then it's a moot point. He'd already have the width needed, right?
He already has the width needed if he's putting in a road, but it still needs, for lack of a better process, it still needs BZA's okay that it's adequate, because unless he partitions off that front part and dedicates that entire 68-foot stretch as a road and dedicates it to the village, if he just makes it a roadway, a private roadway, yes, you're correct. There is adequate access there if it becomes a public road.
Okay.
And this whole thing becomes kind of moot. But for right now, because we don't know what the unit development plan is going to be, and we have this here and we've had it on before, if it is a driveway, we need to have the paperwork in order to say that it's a non-conforming lot with adequate access.
Mayor, may I speak up?
Okay.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. All I want to do right now is build a barn. How can I get that done?
Well, Roger, okay, this is going to go back to the conversation you and I had on the phone about a month ago, where I told you needed to quit changing your plans, and then if you wanted to settle on something, talk with us so we can put it together.
Well,
it's now a barn. It started out as 1 home, then 3 homes, then 5 homes, and 6 homes, and now a barn. And it's pissing me off that it changes every other day.
And it makes a difference as to what's going in, as to what we're granting as far as the access.
well, I thought maybe we could start with a barn. How about that? Just start with a barn.
No, you can't start with the barn. That doesn't meet the guidelines of the village. Okay.
Right. If you want, yeah, you'd have to have a variance to have an accessory structure without a primary structure to have a barn, but you still need this non-conforming lot grant that there's adequate access.
Okay.
I have a question, if I can get in. My name's Bev Kinney, and I'm attest that everything I'm going to say is true. The last time we were on and had this discussion, I was fairly certain that before anything was done back on that lot, that we were going to have some kind of professionally submitted plans to look at. And now we have a pond. And I don't understand, I guess, how that happened. But my concern, if you grant the variance, is that something else will go ahead and happen and be done before anything professionally is looked at. And my concern goes back to drainage. And I don't want 6 houses back there until this drainage problem is taken care of.
Well,
so,
that's
my concern.
Right, and that's part of the unit development and the lot split and all of the stuff that would have to go in on the next application if that's what the development plan is for that 11 parcels.
I understand that, and I understand what tonight's meeting is for. I'm just not sure that everyone is under the same understanding and agreement that nothing will happen back there until there is a
Development plan.
A development plan, yes.
See, at the last meeting, I initiated the county engineer's involvement. We've since found out that that's not his role, okay? So that's why that was not able to happen. My concern, just like yours, Mayor, is that the plan keeps changing and the proper prior documentation is not happening before action is being taken. The pond is the number one, and I know that we're not developing the plot back there. The pond was built without any documentation to this village. And I agree with Bev. Will the development happen without documentation to the village?
Well, what I can say about a development for homes is that if something started back there, it would not be the first time that Terry walked into a site with people building something with the police department and told everybody to leave and put a stop work order. It wouldn't be the first time.
Okay, I guess I need that assurance that, because nothing happened with the pond. It was allowed to go through. It's not adequately designed. Okay, if everybody sees the chicken scratching on the last page that was turned in. I talked to the EPA gentleman whose name and phone number is in the right-hand corner. This is not a pond built for retention. This is not a pond to address drainage issues out there. This, what was written up is not been written up by a licensed engineer. This gentleman told me that he stood out in that field on October 2019 and wrote down some quick sketches in the rain. And that's what's been turned into us as documentation for a pond that has not been approved by a licensed engineer. I'm with Bev. I'm concerned, and I'm glad to hear that the police will be involved if more dirt is moved around out there without an engineer involved in the project. Okay, he can have access, but I think we need to put conditions on the fact that he is not, until he receives the village's approval, allowed to move forward on his development. And he historically has done that. The pond is one instance. He was supposed to take care of stormwater on Cliff Street. The EPA gentleman has explained to me that that was not followed through on. Okay, so we've got several instances here where I just don't have a lot of trust in things being taken care of properly because they haven't been done that way historically. I know I can't deny him access to his property, but I'm concerned about his ethical responsibility to his neighbors. Now, if you can assure me that the village is going to monitor that.
Well, like I said, it would not be the first time. And Terry did it a couple weeks ago with the home being built on Basel Street, the one that was tore down, and then they were working on it. They didn't have all their permits and walked up and had them stop until they got all of them. So it would not be the first time that if, construction material starts going back to build homes. And of course, in order to build homes, you got to divide the lot anyway.
But the village didn't stop the pond. And our regulations say that plans were supposed to be turned in before a pond is built. I guess that's where I'm scared. I didn't see anything happen there. So you're assuring me that it won't happen in the future.
And that is my fear also.
And I can't, I don't know what conversations took place between Terry and Roger and anybody else about the pond. So I can't really speak much to that at the moment. What I can say is that if homes start to get built back there, there is going to be a stop work order if there's not a plan, because in order to do that, you're putting in, anything going in needs the permit, but especially if it's one where there's multiple homes, that not only needs the permit here, but that plat has to be recorded before ground is broken, and they have to survey it all off, and that's got to be all recorded with the recorder's office prior to any of that being done. So it's in some regards even bigger than the village. So yeah, if the homes start going in back there's going to be stop work orders put on if there's not approved permits.
So when
That
I
is
saw,
too much land and stuff to be doing anything without that.
okay, I do have a concern that with what you just said, that you don't know what conversation took place. I guess I want some assurance that it has to be in writing. It's not going to be a conversation that takes place.
Assurance of what? I guess I don't understand your question.
That he'll have to turn in the proper written documents rather than just have a conversation.
No. Yes, what I'm saying is about the pond. I don't know what was there, what wasn't, what conversation. With regards to getting the permits to build it, yes, our zoning code is very clear. You have to file this, you have to record this, you have to do this in order to get the permits from the village to be able to build those.
But he didn't have to do that to build the pond?
Like I said, I don't know. I wasn't involved in the pond. I don't know. I can't answer that for you at this time.
If everything was taken care of properly, then we should be able to go to the village office and pull the paper for the pond, and it's not there.
Okay.
Can we ask Roger?
I don't know where in our zoning code. I haven't looked at ponds. And if our problem's the pond, then the problem's the pond. But it's there at the moment. Right now, at 8:40, our issue is this access. I get that everyone else is concerned with what went in. You heard me yell at Roger a minute ago that I'm pissed that his plans keep changing all the time. It makes us hard to do anything. But at the moment,
okay, so
we've
we're
got
not granting
one
a
singular
variance.
issue. It's styled as
What's
a variance.
what's the proper language?
We're going to basically approve the application that the road frontage provides adequate access to that parcel. You can, according to Jeff, put a condition on it that if that parcel is subdivided, all of those parcels have a use agreement to be able to use that 68 or 78 foot access area to get to their parcels.
So this is different than the other one that we granted an egress because of multiple parcels?
Correct. I believe that would be correct.
I guess the thing that, like you said, it's confusing because to me, it's very different if there are 6 houses as opposed to Roger going to his barn.
I guess my question to that would be how, if it's a driveway or a road?
Well, 6 different properties with all their vehicles traveling back and forth creates a very different situation for the neighborhood than Roger driving his gator back there to go to his barn.
But that is a question for the unit development, not for does 78 feet or 68 feet provide adequate access? Because it's a non-conforming lot that doesn't have 100 feet of road frontage.
But if we grant it and then the unit development plan decides that 68 feet is not enough for the vehicles for 6 families, then what do we do?
We don't do anything. Roger ends up making it a public roadway and giving it to the village because he only needs 60 feet to do that.
Okay. I guess I needed to hear that was as we move down the line and we decide this isn't going to work, then what are our alternatives? That's what I needed to hear.
If it was, and that's why I asked at the beginning, if it's less than, if it was less than the roadway, then there are other, I don't know what else, but if it was less than the roadway, but in this instance, there is that available alternative.
Okay.
And as Jeff and I were talking, it's basically if it's wide enough for a roadway, then it provides adequate access. We just need to,
okay, I guess I'm
follow the code. We're
Okay.
following the code, even though some people don't always.
So
okay.
our vote
Well-
is if it's adequate access to it, just generally as a piece of land sitting there as it is.
Correct. Does the road frontage provide adequate access to that parcel? And again, because it's a larger parcel and one parcel, but larger in the back, you can add the condition that even though it provides adequate access, if that parcel is ever subdivided, all parcels have to have a use agreement to be able to access Holder Road.
Okay.
If
that
it was,
can be in the PUD, or do we need to address that right now?
That's something you guys can put on, and then when the PUD gets filed, it would be one of those subconditions for whatever drive goes in there. If it's a private driveway, that all those subdivided parcels always have a right of ingress and egress over it.
Okay.
Now, would that change the availability to then make that a road and give it to the village? Would that hamper that in any way?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, my condition, because of the lack of integrity always used here, that I want to put on the agreement is that no further development can happen on this site until a licensed professional engineer provides a detailed, authentic, site-specific report to the village.
I don't know that we can actually put that condition on based on 1236.04 because it's not a normal variance.
But we're granting him access. But I want the documentation, because I'm afraid the minute we grant this access, there will be for sale signs stuck in the ground tomorrow. Okay.
And there could be. It's not subdivided, but there could be. But based on 1236.04, I don't know that we can put that condition on there. That is first off, it's a requirement within the zoning code that you have to do all of that in order to subdivide the lots and get the permits under the planned unit development. But under 1236.04, when I was talking with Jeff, this type of issue tonight is, while styled as like a variance, is a record keeping function and a stamp of approval that there's a non-conforming lot, but that road frontage provides adequate access, and that and I'm reading from 1236.04, the Board of Zoning Appeals may require a shared access agreement or other similar agreements to be made to ensure adequate access can be provided. Those are our constraints within which we are working tonight.
I guess I'm disappointed that I wasn't provided with the information that that's what my decision was supposed to be on. Everything, I'm sorry, but what we've been provided has very conflicting information. And if our solicitor knew that this is what we needed to decide on, why weren't we presented it in that manner?
because he was on vacation last week and is catching up, and called me today and said there's a lot to review on this, because when it got sent to him, that started doing up the planned unit development stuff in some of the earlier sections. But for tonight, this is what it is.
Okay.
So I got the information at 4:00 this afternoon.
So I think we need to have more time to actually review what we're really being asked to decide on. I'm sorry, because I did a lot of research, I did a lot of homework, and it was all not for what we're addressing. So I move that we utilize our 30-day allotment of time, and maybe we need to have Mr. Faco share the thoughts he shared with you so that we are in the same informed position before we make a decision. I don't feel comfortable with we've got too much conflicting information here. And at the last minute, we're told, no, it's not really a variance. And I don't care to operate that way. So I move that we we are going to utilize 30 days to further review the situation, and we document our accuracy of information that we're sharing before we're asked to make a decision. So you guys can second that or let it die.
Is there a second?
Well, let me interject one thing if I can. I do agree we need to have hard information because we don't know yet the width of this parcel at the road frontage. That's one place I'm concerned. I don't think we can deny him access to his property. But I think we need to know exactly what the road frontage is.
So are you seconding my motion to wait 30 days or are you not?
I will on those grounds.
Let me ask this. We've got to set another hearing next week to discuss the fence. Instead of going 30 days, can we set it at the same time? And then when we set that meeting here in a few minutes, I'll see if Jeff's available and make sure he's available to join at that meeting.
Is that enough time to get the accurate information?
Are you the width of the road frontage?
Yes, whether it's 92, 78, 68, or I know that those seem to be non-important numbers because we can always default to the 60, but I guess I'm concerned with all of the conflicting information in this entire application and the trustworthiness of our applicant.
I mean, I think a week's more than enough to go out there. I mean, if I sent Tim out with the walking wheel, it only takes 5 minutes to walk across. And, if it comes back 69 feet or, there's a big difference between 68 feet, 78 feet, and 92, he'll be able to tell us.
Okay.
It's not perfect. Yeah, and Tim should be able to find those. So, yeah.
Okay. As I say, I think we have to allow access to the property, but I just want to make sure that we're doing it accurately.
Right. All right. So is that a second then to delay further discussion on this application tonight?
It is, although I believe Case said for 30 days. So we need to make sure what that
let me
is.
change one word, within 30 days. Okay, so we can try for next week, but that gives us more time if we need it. Okay?
In that case, I will second that.
Okay, Barb,
right.
Did you get my change? She's the one who's all important here because she's writing it down.
Yes.
I'm impressed, Barb. I read through the minutes. You had everything down that I said. You don't miss a thing.
Yep. That she doesn't. All right. Any further discussion on delaying this up to 30 days? And hearing none, I will go with a vote here. Williamson
Yes.
and Mager
Yes.
and Looney.
Yes.
All right. So we will delay that up to 30 days for further discussion, which takes us to the end of our agenda tonight, with the exception of the next meeting to be determined. Obviously, we'll have this on here, but we also have the 517 and 521 East Cliff Street variances to give that neighbor to the south an opportunity to provide more information about home value. So let's, and especially for the fence, we don't want to delay because I know they're working on getting that in. So I'd like to maybe look at next week.
So you're left to communicate with the landowners south of them and Mr. Faco.
Yep. So do we just want to go a week from tonight to give everybody a week's notice on Thursday, the 20th at 7 p.m.?
That would be fine if we can get the information that we need, but to meet without what we need would be a waste of our time. So
well,
unfortunately, now it's your job to track everybody down.
Well, just so I'm clear, we're looking for the road frontage on Holder Road and verification of a change in value based on the fence location for the Cliff Street variances. And
I'd like Mr. Faco to provide us with a document that we can review as to what he feels is the situation and how it needs to be addressed. Since it's really not a variance, and that's what we've been thinking all along from the documentation that was shared with us.
All right. Make my notes. Property value.
And does our code tell what the zoning board's role is in the non-conforming lot section here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just need to read that.
Yep, we determine adequate access.
Okay, I've got.
So it's a 2-paragraph section.
I've got the page. I just would like to have time to read it and digest it.
All right. So we've got another meeting scheduled then, and I'll email the homeowner just to the south as soon as we end this meeting and let her know of that meeting, as well as get with Jeff, and then the road frontage. So,
and in your communication to her, if you would let her know that we're deferring it just so that we can get further input from her. Okay, that the appeals board, or whatever we want to call our group, really have an interest in her input before we make our decision. Okay.
All right. Can do. All right. So we'll set that next week, 7 p.m. with that. Is there any other new business to come before the BZA? Aren't you guys glad we didn't do aren't you glad we didn't do public hearings tonight? All right. Well, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I have one question.
Oh, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That's okay. Will Terry send me an invitation, another Zoom meeting invitation for next Thursday, or do I just need to remember?
Absolutely. In fact, for everyone still on here, I'll try to use the same meeting one, but I will make sure Terry sends out a new meeting to you. And
You mean Barb? Barb will send it to us.
Well, Barb. Yes,
let's give Barb
that's
credit.
true.
She does all this hard work.
Let's give Barb credit, and she's on here listening still. So yes, you will get. If it's not the same meeting number, you'll get the invitation with the new meeting information.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good question. Good clarifying question. All right. With that, then, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Looney, in favor of adjournment?
I am in favor.
All right. Margaret Williams, in favor of adjournment?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We will adjourn at 8:55 until next week. And we'll work on that information. So thank you, everyone that had joined, that is still on. And thank you, Bobby, Ken, and Kay, for everything. And I hope everyone has a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mr. Looney, for joining our group. Oh, he's gone.
Yes,
No, he's
thank
still
you.
there.
Thank you, everyone. I
It's
appreciate
been
the
a
time.
pleasure.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
See y'all.